welcome to another session of You've Been Coached with Jack Betacalian and my beautiful self. We are here today to cover our third subtopic of our overarching theme, which is vices and creating awareness to break habits. And our third topic is limiting beliefs. And we are happy that you join us, and we will be very happy if you send us your questions, your comments, and at the end of this session. And I just want to start. We just want to start because this topic is fascinating. Just to watch ourselves into what is it that is constraining us? What is it that we believe and we don't necessarily battle? We just go with those beliefs that we have in our mind. And how can we catch them? Create conscience about what they are doing to us in terms of impoverishing our lives. Those limiting beliefs impoverish our lives. So it's good if we, just get them, recognize them, and then erase them or battle them. So what are limiting beliefs for you, Jack?
So and thanks for that, Jara. When it comes to a limiting belief, it is really, as you had mentioned, a limiting belief is you can't say it any better. It's a belief that is limiting you. It's something that we do on a daily basis. It's habits, and we're very habitual when we view or perceive certain things. Limiting belief, for example, can be as small as saying, I can't do this. The word can't, believe it or not, is a limiting belief, and more often than not, it is attributed to a judgment that you've already made for yourself. When you make these judgments, whether you realize it or not, you have already identified, or you've already come to this conclusion that you won't be able to do something, or you can't do something, or you aren't willing to do something. So a limiting belief is really about your mindset and the view around an action, a thought, an activity, whatever it is you're doing. We see, and both Jara and I, being coaches, we hear this many times, and we work with our clients, and our hopes are that it'll resonate with you today as well, to try and identify these things on the onset. If you want to accomplish a goal, obviously you need to stay mindful, you need to stay focused, and you need to stay positive. Sometimes we say, I want to achieve something, but I can't find the way. Believe it or not, that one thought creates a barrier. It creates an obstacle for you. And you end up saying to yourself, well, why is this happening? Jara, you wanted to chime in here?
I wanted to chime just to say that what you're talking resonates a lot with the language that we talk to ourselves. We have to be very careful, as you mentioned. When you say I can't do something, you are talking about an image that you have of yourself, and limiting beliefs is precisely about that box that you have created where you fit in. And when we examine limiting beliefs, we have to pay close attention to the way that we talk to ourselves. Because when you say I can't do something, is, yeah, you are positioning yourself, you're closing yourself up to whatever you think that you can't do, right? Or if you say, I must not do something, or I must do something, those are things that are related to your values, right? So the verbs that you use in certain moments of your life or in different situations, different aspects of your self-identity. And that's what a limiting belief is, right? That image that you have of yourself.
Yeah, and for the most part, I mean, it's we speak about we've spoken about the most common ones that we hear: I can't, or I'm not sure, or but there are other things that I see as well. For example, a limiting belief can be something as simple as saying to yourself, for example, you want to ask someone a question, but before you even ask that question, or you want to invite someone out, you say to yourself, they won't come. So you don't even do it. The limiting belief actually stops you from, for example, asking somebody for help, or reaching out to somebody to plan an event, or whatever the case may be. And there are other things, excuse me, with regards to those beliefs that end up, like you said, Jara, they end up taking control of your perception. One of the things when it comes to limiting beliefs as well, and I think it's very important to examine a limiting belief more, is to understand, or to take the time. It's not really only it. Of course, it's very important to pick yourself or identify when you're saying these things, but you need to go behind that. You need to go deeper and ask
look
yourself
for where does it come from?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why is that belief in there? And also, I just want to add something if we're going to move towards just going deeper into limiting beliefs, but I just want to say that also we have limiting beliefs about other people. We assume, and this is tied to what we were talking about on our first episode that was related to
expectations.
We also have limiting beliefs regarding other people, right? Limiting beliefs about what others are, what others will or will not do in a certain situation. That is also a limiting belief. And I don't know if because we are focusing here on the negative side of the belief, there are also positive sides of these beliefs. Recognizing your limits is a good thing, but have to think, when is this belief inhibiting me from moving forward? Then it becomes, or what we call a limiting belief.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, that there's a lot of times, especially as you mentioned, when it comes to perception around people or those who are around us. I mean, if I can just say it in the simplest way, you don't know if you don't ask, right? But many of us already make that assumption because of that belief that we have. So we, as opposed to actually saying, okay, let me just ask and see what happens. And you'd be surprised, to be quite honest. Many times people are afraid, or rather, sorry, many times people allow this limiting belief to stop them from asking something. And it's not just about asking a question. You may want to, for example, both Jara and I have worked with, and we work with clients who are in need. Obviously, ultimately, we're always here to provide clarity, but there's a client that I'm thinking about right now who is in, and this is a business client, but they will need to raise funds. They themselves are, and I've pointed this out, are currently in the process of changing that limiting belief that if I call a certain distributor or a certain colleague or a competitor and ask them to work with me or help me to raise funds, that they're going to say no. Today or rather now they're changing their thought process, but initially it was, they won't help me. But you don't know if you don't ask, right? Ultimately, just make the call. Say, I'm raising funds for my business.
Well, the question is, why do we limit our beliefs, right? What is behind that that assumption? What is behind that automatic trigger that says this people will act in a certain way, or I can't do this, or I mustn't do that, or I do or I don't? What is behind those beliefs? I think that one of the things, well, most of the time, it's a faulty logic, right? A faulty logic, something that we don't necessarily have proof that that's going to happen, or that through experience, we have had experiences, right, of people saying no to us, or partners in a relationship, in any kind of relationship, treating us a certain way, right? And we think that we are always stuck in that past, and we're always dealing with the same person or the same type of situation over and over again. Sometimes it could be education, you know, how we have formed our own perceptions of the world and ourselves, right? What else do you think that plays a part into our beliefs?
So, I definitely agree with you. I think that a limiting belief is a combination, in my opinion, of an insecurity, of a fear.
A fear. Fear is a big one.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, habit. So again, we want to break habits, but when you think about it, and you know, you brought up a really great point there. When people are put in a position where they need to act or react, our first instincts, are always to follow what we've done in the past. So we refer to, or we resort to, what has worked for us in the past. It's a habit that we fall upon. And because we're calling on the previous experiences, we've already made up our mind as far as the last time.
Yes.
So you may have called on somebody, or you may have needed something and it didn't work out. Now, as opposed to saying, well, this is another opportunity, and let me keep my mind open and let me continue to try things that are outside of my, not necessarily comfort zone, but things that I may have tried that didn't work in the past, I should still remain open to trying them again. But our initial instincts are, because we're referring to these previous experiences, as you mentioned, we already come up with a judgment and we already rule them out. So when you think about that, you are, regardless of the opportunity and regardless of how new something may be, you're already your list of what would be a optimistic and positive is dwindled down based on results that no longer have relevance. So, as you mentioned, these limiting beliefs end up coming into play, and you don't realize it. And this is where, and this is where I hope it resonates with you. For example, as we mentioned, the simple thing, I can't do it. People say I can't get a break at work. That doesn't make sense. You're gonna get a break at some point, or I won't get promoted.
Yes.
So,
And I'm sorry for interrupting you. I want to continue talking about that you're saying. I can't, that closing is also becomes, the limiting belief becomes an excuse at some point, an excuse to even not do something for yourself,
absolutely.
not rescue yourself, to get, just to get going with the flow. And then behind all of that, and you mentioned it already, but I think we should hone on it a little bit more. Behind all of that, there is a fear. And fear is powerful. And fear is inside of us in many, many ways. And it can be something very, very simple, or look very simple, but it is driven by a fear. Because fears are driven by our deepest needs, right? Our fear of rejection, our fear of loneliness, our fear of
failure.
That's a big one. So fear goes against our beliefs. So in the end, limiting beliefs are limited because we don't want to believe something different.
Yeah, or exactly, or we're afraid to believe something different.
Something different.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of and this may be something that you've said to yourself recently, or you have gone through. Like I was saying about the I won't get a promotion. Many people say, and especially when times are tough, I'm not gonna. How am I gonna find a way out? Or I don't know where to look. How am I gonna find a solution? Or what? I don't know what I'm doing. Those things automatically just cut you at the knees. Where you should, instead of saying, and it's funny because sometimes I say this. I know, Jara, you'll agree with it. It's if you can't find the answer to a question, just change your question, right? What if I can't do it? Well, okay, if you can't, or if you're not comfortable with that question, then say, what if I can? Change your perception on the things. Your limiting belief right now, again, and this is really relative to what we've been talking about, the overarching topic of breaking habits, is something that you need to work on trying to remain aware and conscious of, and blocking. Instead of saying, and it is difficult because again, because we're habitual, it's a good thing I stopped myself because I was about to make a David Chappelle reference, but because
you should make the reference.
But because we're habitual, we've already predetermined judgments, and they kind of set our ways. But as we're pointing out here, and I hope again it resonates with many people, is our ways are actually are limited. And yes, we keep repeating the word, but it's very important to see and understand our ways and our past experience are shaping a future that is not in your best interest. So if you want to continue to move forward, if you want to progress, you have to pick up on these things. You have to say, instead of saying, I'll never get a promotion, I'm going to get a promotion. Because ultimately, in the background, when you say I'm not going to get a promotion or I'll never get a promotion, you're affecting your ability to get a promotion. There's some underlying factors to that one limiting belief. People say, I'm never going to get a promotion. It's guaranteed you're not going to get a promotion. And here's the reasoning why. The moment you allow yourself or this limiting belief to take control, you are affecting your motivation, you're affecting your confidence, you're affecting your focus. So now, because in your mind you've allowed this belief to take a front seat, if you will, you are going to work less. And I don't mean by hours, I mean you're going to be less productive, you're going to be less interested, and you're going to actually allow for that one limiting belief to become reality. But if you were to change that and say, instead of thinking, I'm never going to get that promotion, say, I'm going to get that promotion, then you will, and again, it's difficult because people will, and this is the part that needs to be important, is the repetition. Repetition needs to be, and you need to understand that, again, wanting something to happen does not mean it's going to happen in a day. But changing the mindset and believing what you want to do at that point ends up giving you the opportunity. And sometimes wanting that promotion may not be the underlying factor, but it will actually allow you to grow. You might not necessarily need the promotion in that job, but it'll position you to get another job, or it'll allow you to excel at something new. But the moment, again, that you allow yourself to say, I'm never going to, or I can't, or anything pops into your head, it's almost like you've got a huge audience in front of you with 15,000 people, and everybody who is limiting is in the front row. You want to reach out to everybody in the back or in the center, but these people aren't allowing you. They're in front of you, and they're not allowing you to see the rest, and they're not allowing your voice to pass. You need to remove them. Does that make sense?
You need to speak louder.
Excuse me?
I like that. I like that image about limiting beliefs being the people that are in the front row. I think that you need to speak louder, and it talks again about those limiting beliefs being boxing you. Like you are boxed, and you need to get out of there. How do you get out of there? How do you get out of there? You speak louder than your beliefs. And I think that the question now is, how do we speak louder than our beliefs? How do we overcome those limiting beliefs? If we can, just pinpoint some things, and I think that you've said, the repetition of something that is freeing rather than constraining. But how do you do it if you have all your life been thinking the same way, believing the same things? It is not easy to overcome that limiting belief. So what could be a good practice or a good technique to repeat ourselves or try to change those limiting beliefs? What would be a good first step for you? Or, I can answer I'm going to give like an example in my own life. When I find a limiting belief, or when I when I discover it, because it takes process to discover your own limiting beliefs, when I think about them and I see myself bringing that old me, that's saying you can't do something or you shouldn't do this, or, I take that belief out. Like, I contemplate it, like I don't let myself necessarily be carried by it. I just separate it, contemplate it, and I ask myself, why? Why do I say I can't? Or why do I say I shouldn't? Or where is the evidence for this? Or
Absolutely.
where is this coming from?
Yep. Yeah. And I'm sorry, you wanted to continue?
No. Can you, and then, I prove myself wrong, right? And what if I do this? And then I say, well, let's put that in action. Let's see what happens. And that's a way of, being uncomfortable in my own skin, but at the same time gathering evidence that is contrary to my limiting belief, so that it could create a new path in my way of believing, and that I can lose my fear.
Yeah. And excuse me. So what works for me, and again, what works for me or for Jara may not work for you. I mean, everybody ultimately needs to find something that, and of course, we hope that we're able to, through our conversations, able to help you connect or find something that makes sense to you, and then, we hope that you apply that. But for me, one of the things is, there's a couple of things. The first thing is, how important is the task, or how important is the goal? So I identify, to me, where it is in my to-do list or my wants, needs, and depending on that, then I'll do the analysis. I'll do an analysis. I'll look at, or I'll think about, again, what is stopping me, or what am I saying? I'll actually even ask myself the questions. It's sort of like I'm interviewing myself to see. So, and it's hard. It's weird at first, because you're interviewing yourself, but you're kind of asking a question and seeing how you would answer naturally, to see if you can identify that. But one of the things, again, for me, is above and beyond identifying and really classifying, prioritizing the importance of what is in front of me, is I ask myself that what I deem to be the most important question. And that question for me is, if I'm going to allow myself to let a limiting belief define the action or the direction I'm going to take with regards to something, then again, I need to be comfortable with the outcome of, or accept more than anything else, the outcome of my decision. So a lot of us, and I'll give you an example based on my personal life experience. I'll go to, or rather, I wanted to return to school, and now I'm very happy with the fact that I did return to school and continue my education. There's never a time or an age that's too old to continue to grow. But it took me a couple of times to make that decision or make that commitment. Initially, as I just mentioned, I wanted to continue my education, and I said to myself, well, look at your age, you're working full time, how are you going to pull it off? You can't do it. I can't do this. It's going to be too much for me. And then a year goes by and I'm saying, wow, what if I had actually done it back then? I would have been done already. It would have been over with. I would have actually completed what I need to do. So think about that. I mean, that's one of the limiting beliefs, and this is why I make it a point now to ask myself that all important question. Are you going to be okay with the what if scenario? If you're not okay with the what if scenario, then maybe you should think about and go back to what's stopping me. Why am I actually like this? Yes, I understand there's hesitation. I understand there may be some fear, but then contradict yourself or challenge yourself with that question. What if? You know, I can't go back to school at this age. What if I go back to school at this age? Or I can go back to school at this age. So picking up on those things, for me personally, has made a huge difference as far as my progress, both personally and professionally. And I hope that this actually, or this example actually resonates with you, our viewers, because again, there are so many areas or so many things in life where we allow unconsciously, based on, as Jara mentioned, previous experience or fear, to limit and almost, support an excuse for abandoning or giving up or stopping ourselves from doing something that's very important. And again, at that point, that key word there is important. Limiting belief sometimes it's there, and it can be insignificant to you in your life. But when it comes to something that's truly important to you, if you take the time to listen to yourself, and of course, you've already this is the assumption is that you've already identified that what you want or what you need is important to you. Once you've done that, take the time to listen to yourself and listen to what you are saying to yourself. Ask yourself a question. If it's a task, how am I going to accomplish it, or what do I plan on doing? And then respond and listen for certain keywords, the won'ts, or I can't, or I shouldn't. Those are very big, and they play a huge role in what and how you're going to act, or what direction you're going to take.
So, Jack, thank you for sharing your experience on that. And I think that I, when you were narrating that, I see myself doing how I've done that in the past. So it is very important to go back and take those beliefs and really study them, because there is a way to talk to us in a different way, to talk to us in a positive way. My son is here with me, right here with me, and he's sharing his Angry Bird,
which is good.
Which is beautiful.
Which is good, because you now have a limiting belief that you can record, but you're still going to do it.
Yes. So what I say to myself is, I can get there. I can do it. I just need to keep going, instead of, limiting myself with beliefs of, I'm going to be distracted. No, I won't, because I can handle this.
Yeah.
So I think that substituting those beliefs by positive affirmations give you and allow you, enable you, and transform the limiting belief in an enabling belief, so that you know that even when you doubt yourself, there is a part of you that still holds you in a very high position, and that you can trust that positive voice inside of you saying you can do it. You just need to keep going.
Yeah,
You
and
can
you will
work.
do it. Yep.
You are intelligent. You can learn. You can still learn. You can still do the things you want to do. This is possible. It is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, for the record, that is your son. He's adorable. He's not a paid actor, right?
No, not a paid actor. That is
Okay.
my son.
Okay. Yeah.
And he is adorable.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, and I like what you said there. I mean, it's really about enforcing affirmation. It's about, you know, ultimately it's about finding a way to identify those limiting beliefs. And again, we're creatures of habit, but for those who are paying attention and who want or feel the need to improve or make changes in their lives, these are one of the ways that you can accomplish it. And it does require repetition. However, what you'll find and what I can share with you is when you've created awareness, it remains. So repetition doesn't mean you need to do something 1,000 times. If you do it 3 times, it's more than enough to be able to say, or to catch yourself in the mid-sentence, and that's when you end up being able to and start to see this huge change or this energy shift, because ultimately our energy makes a huge difference here. And limiting belief is a negative energy. And when you catch yourself, you change that momentum, you change that energy, or you stop, which is, you know, critical, the negative energy from creeping in. You wanted to add something to that, Jara?
Well, I wanted to say that because my son was here, I just thought that limiting beliefs, or the way to overcome a limiting belief, is like when you're scared when you're a little kid and you think that something scared you, that there are monsters under your bed, or that there is something hiding in the closet, or that you're afraid of the dark. And you just have to confront it time and again and prove yourself that there are really no monsters under the bed or something hiding in the closet. So it is a way to scare your fears away. When you prove yourself that limiting belief is wrong, you scare the monsters away. You send them away.
I shared that with you in confidence. But no, yeah, absolutely. And it's about identifying and then confronting. And if you're not going to confront, again, you're going to be you could allow yourself or put yourself in the situation of the what if scenario. And, you know, I know that everybody who is listening has gone through this in life. They've gone through a scenario where they question a decision, or they question what has happened, and they say, well, what if I had done this a different way? So ultimately, I wouldn't want, having gone through it myself, I wouldn't want anybody else to go through it. And if what we've mentioned today ends up giving you, you know, some clarity, or ends up giving you a better opportunity or chance to pick up on these things, then, you know, I'm very happy. And again, I'm always grateful to all of the audience who's there. And we welcome questions and comments, because the purpose of these episodes are always going to be about what we can do to help you grow, to help you find clarity in your life, help you find balance, help you progress personally and professionally. So Jara, I think I'm all worked up. I'm sorry, I'm all done as far as speaking. I've got a parched mouth, and I'm worried that your son is going to come and Angry Bird me too. So
No, I think that that we've covered this topic
okay,
enough, and that we can send our viewers, um, just reminding them that we welcome comments, that our next topic is going to be setting the bar.
no, we've already done setting the bar. I
Did
like
setting the
this.
bar?
I got you.
You got me right there. What is our next topic?
I haven't decided yet, but you know what?
Oh, it's positive thinking.
The
It's
power of
positivism.
absolutely.
Yes, and that is going to be our next episode. And we want you to join us. If you have any comments, if you have any questions for me or for Jack, we are more than welcome to, and we are happy to have them and to answer them. Also, we want to remind that we are available for individual coaching if you're interested in that and reaching out to us. And to please share these videos with other people, and that we hope that you gain clarity through all of this, and you get inspired to live to the best of your potentials, and to get rid of those impoverishing beliefs that are hindering you from achieving your best self, and just shine and thrive. So do you want to take it? Do you want to take it now, Jack?
I don't want to take it, but I just want to mention one other thing. Of course, these are videos that we're posting to YouTube. So with respect to the audience, we are always going to be. We don't want to say anything that may be offensive, and if we do offend anyone, or if we come across in a way that might not work with people, that is not our intention. But I'm actually leading up to something even more important. So I'm going to be PG, but Jara and I are actually going to be offering a course, or a seminar rather, and again, I'll keep it PhD, but it's called Just Effin' Do It, and we want to invite you. We'll be putting up the link shortly for you to buy in. It's going to be a 2-hour seminar, and it is about, again, the overarching topic is Just Effin' Do It, and we're going to talk to 3 main topics. The first one, acronym. Many of you know what it is. If you don't, you can Google it, but I'm not going to say it. It's SSDD.
Yep.
The second one is kryptonite. And the third one is I Have the Power. And you're going to see, this is a very, what I love about these are, again, they are personalized seminars. They are for people. It is a paid seminar, but it is removing a lot of the political pieces, and we'll be able to do this together. It's an interactive thing. We're not going to do, the purpose is not just to talk. The purpose is to have our audience engaged. We're going to have some fun with it. So we're going to make light out of some of the things that we go through in life that aren't always pleasant, but we're going to find a way to make you laugh through it. We're going to find a way to make you resonate with it. There's going to be some thought-provoking topics. So again, that's coming up. We will be doing this on June 3rd, which is 3 weeks from now. So stay tuned to our Facebook pages or our Twitter accounts, wherever you're following us, and we encourage you to join in. We look forward to having this fun time together, and part of, again, the topics will also include some exercises. And by exercise, I'm not talking about yoga, and I'm not talking about 4 hours of homework. but it'll be some really interesting things. And for those of you who are still on the fence with coaching, or still on the fence or not necessarily sure, I encourage you to join, because it will end up giving you the ability to see and understand the value of how coaching helps you achieve more of yourself. So the one thing I never will do is what Jara is going to trademark one day. Jara, go for it.
You've been coached.
Bye, everyone.